Hello everyone, welcome to the machine learning course. Please get ready. We are about to officially start our class, and I hope you all can gain something.
Hello guys, welcome back to our machine learning class. In this course, we will move on to know what clustering algorithm is. This course will be divided into 4 parts. Let's first look at the definition of clustering algorithm. Clustering is a way to automatically group objects together. It's a technique commonly used in data mining to analyze and study patterns of cluster by objects. For example, let's say we have a dataset related to the market, research, or consumer behavior. We can use clustering to divide or segment a market into different groups based on similarities between customer or variables. It helps us understand how different groups of customer behave or how variables relate to each other. Cluster analysis, which is the method used for this kind of grouping, is a form of multivariate statistical analysis. It aims to establish a classification system where the bunch of examples of variables are classified based on their natural affinities or similarity. The interesting part is that the classification happens automatically without requiring any prior knowledge. When we talk about clustering, we find that individuals within the cluster have high similarity to each other, while the differences between different clusters are more pronounced. This means that objects within a cluster share common characteristics or patterns, while objects from different clusters differ significantly.
So let's start with an example.
Imagine we have a dataset with 5 samples, and it records information about their age, income, education level, and spending habits. Now, the question is, how do we categorize or group these consumers into different classes? Well, this example represents a classical clustering problem. In clustering, we analyze the data based on the similarities between the objects. We took for patterns or resemblance among the samples and grouped them accordingly. It's like finding analogies or similarities between different objects and grouping people based on those similarities. In our example, we would analyze the consumer's age, income, education level, and spending habits to identify the common patterns or similarities. Based on these similarities, we can then cluster or group the consumers into different categories or classes. This helps us understand the different types of consumers we have and how they relate to each other. So, clustering is all about finding similarities and grouping objects or people based on those similarities. It's a powerful technique that allows us to uncover patterns and gain insight in various fields. In this case, it helps us categorize consumers into different classes based on their similarities in age, income, education level, and spending habits. Based on the difference in average score, the smaller gap is a category. During the clustering process, there are no criteria for specifying classification in advance. Objectively produce classification results based entirely on sample data. Let's consider different scenarios where we want to cluster or group stores based on their shopping experience. In this case, we will access the score based on 2 aspects: the shopping environment and the qualities of service. We will assign scores to each aspect and use them to cluster 5 sample stores. So, We have these scores for each store, and the idea is to analyze the differences in average scores to create categories or clusters. The smaller this gap between the average scores, the more similar the stores are considered to be, and they belong to the same category. The interesting part here is that during the clustering process, there are no predefined criteria or rules for classifying the store. We solely rely on the sample data to objectively produce the classification results. We let this data guide us in identified natural clusters based on their similarities or differences in the stores. By clustering the stores based on their shopping environment and service quality scores, we can gain insights into the different types of shopping experience offered. It helps us understand which stores have similar characteristics and which one differs in terms of their open environment and service quality. To begin with, the algorithms start by segmenting the license plant images to different parts or regions. In this case, the algorithms divide the images into two classes, white and blue. Once the image is segmented, the algorithms focus on the white part, which usually contains the characters or numbers on the license plate. The objective now is to determine which character each white shapes corresponds to. To achieve this, the algorithm compares the shape of the white regions with the characters stored in the character libraries or database. It calculates the similarities or resemblance between the white shape and each character in the library. By doing so, it can identify the characters that white shape most closely matches. Look at this example.
The image in JPG format
And has a resolution of
100 times 100 pixels. Each pixel in the image can be represented as a
three-dimensional vector, corresponding to the red, green, and blue channels in the
JPG image.
The first step in the image segmentation process is to split this picture into two distinct areas, the background areas and the foreground area, which contains the adorable puppy. This vision helps in separating the main subject from the surrounding elements. To achieve this, the image is segmented using the K-means algorithm. K-means is a popular clustering algorithm that groups similar data points together. In this case, it helps in clustering the pixels based on their color values. By applying the K-means algorithm, the image can be divided into suitable clusters, which one cluster representing the background areas and the other cluster representing the
foreground area containing the puppy.